take you for a ride on that motorcycle. You want to take you for a ride on the motorcycle?
Okay. Okay. On the title?
Is it long?
Huh?
Is it long?
Long? No. It's like 8 slides. I won't try to make that too long now. I don't bore everybody. Okay. Have you guys ever wondered what it was like to be me? To be visually impaired and to live in society? Ashley, stop DMing me on Twitter, please. It pops up and starts reading it.
Kids do that when we were little.
It starts reading it to me, so I'm getting confused. Okay. But have you ever wondered what it's like to be me? Because I wonder what it's like to be you guys all the time. Like, for example, I would love to be able to drive. That would be nice. So in this presentation, what I'm going to do is take some of the terms that we've learned throughout the semester and apply it to my life as a person with a visual impairment. Okay. Okay, people who are disabled, especially those with visual impairment, tend to be lower status. People without disabilities tend to be more in power. After all, the world is pretty much optimized for people who aren't disabled, so that's a given. There are different roles that are expected within a status. So for blind and visually impaired people, we are expected to be very nice. We are expected to appreciate any help that people give us, even if we did not ask for it. We are supposed to be naive. We're not supposed to know about the world and things like that. And you can see this through interactions with people and things that they assume. I'll talk more about that as we go on. Okay, so role making and role taking. People in power tend to be able to control the roles that they play more than people who are not. So blind and visually impaired people usually have to take the role of the other and try not to hurt someone's feelings if they try to do something when we don't really need it, or they might assume things about us that aren't exactly accurate, but in most cases we will try to tread lightly and not try to hurt someone's feelings. And this is very important because if we were to be rude to someone, then if we needed help later on, we might not get it. So it's always this balance. Agency, the ability to act on your environment, is very limited for people with disabilities. For one thing, we are limited in that we don't have, say, a car or something, so we can't control those things. Also, people around us try to protect us when it really isn't necessary. For example, I wanted to visit some friends once whenever I was younger, and they were in Raleigh, and my mom's like, no, you can't ride a Greyhound bus to Raleigh. You're not going. So that wasn't cool with me, so what I did is while she was at work, I got a friend to come pick me up, and I disappeared. That's right. I will talk about deviance too. Yeah, you can hear all about it. Okay, and now we're going to talk about the self.
Now, wait a minute. Did you get the guy?
Go where?
Say you went anywhere?
Yes, I disappeared while she was at work.
Yeah.
I got a friend to pick me up, and then I went to the bus, and they took me to the bus, and I actually did that twice. The first time I was going to Raleigh to see friends and my boyfriend at the time, and the second time, the second time I went to Charlotte, and so actually what I did is I disappeared again, and I went to Raleigh, spent the night with a friend, and then got on the train to Charlotte to visit someone. I would tell her, but it would be after I was gone, so she couldn't just stop me. So But now she understands that I am independent and I'm going to do what I want to do. So I don't have as many of those problems anymore. So it was necessary evil. Okay, the self is made up of the I and the me. We've talked about this a lot. The I is more impulsive. It's with us from the time we're born. The me is more socialized, and it takes on information as we grow, and as we have more social interactions. So, for example, I've had somebody grab me once, and a lot of blind people have this happen to them, and people are just trying to help. But the immediate reaction is to flip out, because if you aren't expecting someone to suddenly grab you, like, your eye is just going to be like, bam! But your me is like, they're just trying to help. So I need to be calm and collected.
You really know what
Yeah. Well, usually they'll say something, but it'll be after the fact. Now, I'm sure people have done that, and they're crazy for doing that, but most times, I've only had it happen to me maybe once or twice, and I think it's because I do have some vision, so I don't experience it as much. But it's very interesting, and I'm like, I don't know why people do that and think it's okay. Like, just say something first, like, before you touch somebody, because especially if they can't see you, they don't know you're there, and then you just grab them, they're gonna be like, not gonna be too thrilled with you. Better hope they don't have like mace or something on them, because. So interactions are a series of scripts, and so we manage our impressions in front stage areas, and we relax them in backstage areas. Blind and visually impaired people, such as myself, are constantly managing our impressions, just like everyone else. However, impressions given and impressions given off are not always the same. For example, I try to portray myself as being relatively intelligent and competent, but sometimes people don't get that impression. They take their beliefs and still see me as being incapable. An example of this is actually whenever I was in your class, Dr. Spivey, the first time. And my brother had just died, and I came back, and my aunt walked with me to class. Then I found out that your class was canceled the same day, and so I, burst into tears. So she took me out of class, and I went with her. Well, apparently somebody, after I left, was like, is that her aide? Like a personal care aide? I don't have a personal care aide. I can take care of myself. Thank you. But I thought it was really funny because, this is the middle of the semester. I haven't had people come with me ever before. Why would you assume that? So that's what makes it very interesting. Another thing that happens is people tend to be shocked that I have lived on my own before. I had an apartment for 2 years in Raleigh, and I had a roommate, but she was blind. So they're usually very shocked to find that you did that? They usually assume that I couldn't handle that, or they also tend to assume that I'm younger than I am. So I'm 24, and when they find that out, they're like, oh, wow. They're very surprised. So.
I don't know if you touch base on if you do, I'll say. Also, people will assume that you've got, like you were saying, vision impaired. Everybody, they're homogenized everybody. Like if you're completely blind.
Yeah, I don't talk about that, but that is another thing they do. Yeah. I'll talk about it a little bit because I talk about. Well, I'm not going to tell you what I talk about. You'll find out what I talk about. But I'll talk about it a little bit, but because when the cane comes into play, that's when that really is noticeable. So I'll talk about it. Okay, now I'm going to talk about deviance, which I know everybody loves.
Talk about deviance a little bit.
This is very interesting because people assume that blind and visually impaired people are innocent and that we don't do anything bad and we're very nice, okay? This is not the case. Now, some people are. Some people are innocent. We are just as diverse as anyone else. Some people are innocent, goody-goody, never going to do anything, and other people are like, wah, crazy. Okay, so, like, for example, I went to a school for the blind, okay, and there I encountered instances of sex, underage drinking, drug use, people stealing. Like the stairwells were great for sex acts, apparently, because there was a lot of that going on.
What goes on in regular life? Right?
Another interesting thing that happened. Now these are like teenagers, okay? We were going on a track tournament, and we had to drive to Virginia. Well, this group of kids decided it would be a great idea to pour Everclear into Coke bottles. So they mixed it with the Coke and took it with them. Well, let's just say one of the girls got really, really drunk. And it was... How she managed to not get in trouble, I don't know, because she was very obviously drunk. When we got there, by the time we got there, she was talking about she had peed on herself, and she was being all loud and just obviously drunk. So I don't know how and plus, she was supposed to run the next day. Like, that's crazy. Why would you do that? But anyway. On the way to the prom one year, one of the limousines stopped at somebody's apartment, and the reason that they did this is so that they could smoke weed and have sex. So, and they said that when they got to the prom, when they eventually made it, they were like, "Oh, our limo broke down." Yeah. Yeah. And most people believed it, but another thing that's interesting is a lot of blind people are very good at shoplifting because people don't expect them to do that. And so they will, sneak candy bars or my ex-boyfriend, whenever I was in high school, he used to steal CDs from the flea market and bring them to me and be like, "Here you go." Like, "How did you pay for that?" "Oh, well, I stole it." So...
I can see. I understand how that happens.
Being blind and visually impaired is very stigmatized. Once I was told by a cab driver that he would rather die than to lose his vision. Well, thank you. The next thing I'm talking about is passing and covering.
I had somebody actually say that to me about being the son.
Really? That's crazy. Wow. That's that's just crazy to me.
I'm kidding.
Wow.
Almost that.
Okay, passing is how people hide their stigma to be considered normal. Blind and visually impaired people. Can I talk? Blind and visually impaired people tend to do this a lot by not using visual aids. So they might not use their cane, they might not use their glasses, they might not ask for assistance when they need it. And I even engage in this a little bit. Like, I don't like to be seen with my cane at certain times because I don't like the extra attention that I get from it. And in fact, at night, it can make me feel more vulnerable because if people know that I have visual impairment, they might decide that I'm a good target. Especially as a female too, like I just have like a lot of things against me there. So and sometimes sometimes you end up having to be alone, and you don't want that to happen. But even like at 9 o'clock when this class gets out, sometimes I feel a little scared. So that's why my friends, they usually stay in this building and wait for me to get out of class and walk with me, so I don't have to be by myself. But yeah, that happens all the time. There was actually a person who was blind, and he died in 2010, but his name was Ben Underwood, and he did echolocation, which is very neat. He clicked his tongue and could tell what was in the room, what was in front of him from that. But he would refuse to use a cane. He wanted to be seen as sighted like everyone else, and he didn't like that.
Was he a student here?
No, no. But there's videos on YouTube about him, so it's very interesting if you ever get bored or something.
So
it's like
a bat uses radar, you know?
Yeah, it's like that.
Sing loud and you put the ear to bounce off.
It's like that, yeah.
That's very sensitive perception.
And a lot of people use a little bit of echolocation, but not nearly to the extent that he did. Like he could tell you what was around him based on how it sounded.
If somebody walks by?
Well, I mean, anybody could do that, and a lot of times you can sense that there's someone there. Also, you can hear them. Usually, people aren't completely silent, even if they try to be. So, but yeah, that's very interesting. But they were in the documentary, and it's like extraordinary people, the boy without eyes, or something like that. And in the documentary, he's working with somebody who's trying to show him that echolocation wouldn't pick up on everything. Like a big hole in the ground, for example. He didn't know that was going to be right there, so he could just walk off and fall into it. And so it's very dangerous. And then covering is basically how you try to use humor or other techniques to make yourself seem more like the other people and not quite as scary. And I know I do that all the time, try to make jokes. A lot of times, like, for example, if I knock over a wet floor sign, which I hate doing, by the way, because it's so loud and then everybody's, like, looking at you. Anyway, so I usually laugh and talk about how fun it is to knock them over. Or if people are looking for something and say they don't see it, then I'll be like, yeah, I don't either. You know.
I'm just curious. How about dealing with professors? Have you ever had professors that are kind of interact with you, as if they need to be so helpful?
The interacting with me, how? What are you talking about?
With your professors, any of your professors.
Try to be too helpful? Is that what you're saying?
Like maybe they have they also fear those sort of stereotypes.
No, I haven't. I know some people have, though.
Yeah.
Some people that are here actually, but I haven't had that happen to me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good about being very upfront from the start. Like I usually, before I even get into class, I email professors and be like, "Hey, I'm going to be in your class and I have visual impairment, so be prepared for some paperwork and stuff." So. So that happens. Another thing that I wanted to mention, and I forgot about it, was with the cane thing, is it's kind of a neat little social experiment to see how differently I'm treated, whether if I have the cane or if I don't. So, like, I'll have the cane, and, like, it's fun because I can see enough to see this. So, like, there'll be, like, a group of people, and they'll be standing there, and they'll see me coming, and they'll just, like, part. They'll be like, awesome. And then, and then they'll like open doors for me, and just being very nice. And some people do that anyway. Some people, but not as much. And
can you tell them how like, for example, when you look out into the classroom, how your vision is? I remember you telling me you see miniature.
Yeah, I see everything. Like I have very nearsighted vision, so everything is kind of smaller to me, and I can see stuff because I am familiar with this area. Like if I just came into this room for the first time, I wouldn't be able to make out things as well, like understand, to be able to process the information that I'm seeing. But like now that I know how the room is set up, I can see that there's the tables going around, and I can see the blackboard or whatever over there, and I can kind of see the people that are closer to me, like the people down at the ends of the tables. I can kind of see them, but not really. Like I can't see people who are sitting all the way in the back. I can't see them at all, really. So, but that's how I do it. But it's very interesting to see how different people treat me, because then if I don't have it, then they're just like not opening doors, letting them slam in my face, just kind of like, and it's very interesting experiment.
If you wear glasses, does it make a difference?
No. I did have some glasses, but they're not very helpful to me. So I just wanted to point that out. So if anybody's looking for a social experiment to do, get your hands on somebody's white cane and go to a place you've never been to before and walk around and see how people treat you. And I got some extras, so let me know. Hit me up. I'll get you one.
That'd be an interesting experiment.
It is. It's very interesting. But people can't know you, because if they know you, then they're going to know your plan, obviously. So, which is how I think now, even if I don't have it, some people understand. Oh, it's also interesting, like if I go into a place, like a store or something, and I don't have it, and then I ask them for help, and they're like, "What? it's over there." Like, thank you, but can you get it for me? Because I am visually impaired. Oh, yeah, no. So, which I don't understand, because my eyes move all weird. So I'm always confused, because sometimes people get it and sometimes people don't.
Yeah.
It's like totally, you never know how it's going to work. There, it's kind of like hit and miss.
Yeah.
And I just tangled this up. Okay.
Have you memorized the presentation, or do you see it on?
No, I have a document that's kind of got like little notes, and then so I'm going off of that based on so I know what to talk about. But no, I don't want to just read the same thing that's on the PowerPoint, because y'all can do that if you want to read it. But but that's pretty much it. So thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'd love to take them.
Well, how about those two ladies that came with you? Do you guys want to add anything? Are all of you have sight to some extent?
Thank you.
Okay. Do you guys concur with all our findings? Same thing? Is it any different for you? Do you experience others aspects that maybe she doesn't?
The only other experience that I've had is with a dog. People are very surprised of finding him or seeing him for the first time in a new place.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah.
You find people walk away from your dog, like they step aside, or?
No, they're always drawn to the dog, so they always want to pet or talk to the dog.
Yeah.
And I always encourage them, no, don't talk to the dog because he's working.
Yeah.
Don't pet him. Don't make eye contact with him.
He may get distracted.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
And then that could be dangerous for her.
Yes.
So if he's distracted and then she's trying to walk somewhere, he could pull her out in front of a car or something, because he's not thinking anymore about working. He's more concerned about playing. So that's why it can't be done. It's not that she's mean or being rude or anything like that.
But are they trained to be protective dogs as well?
They're not trained to be protective, but they're dogs, and they can be if they need.
Yeah.
They feel they need
Just
it.
naturally. He's pretty dog.
Thanks.
He's a sweet doggy too.
Yeah. Hey, he's going to be educated by the end of these 4 years.
Yeah.
All these classrooms. Yeah. Well, you guys got any more questions on it? That was very informative.
I kind of have like a personal question. Like me personally, when I see, and me being in the class with you before, also like I would always try to treat you like you were just like everybody else.
Right.
Is that like the best way to do it? Because like
Yeah.
I would try to, I purposely will not ask them if they need help because I don't
Right.
want to offend them.
Right.
Is that the right way to do it?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I mean, there's things like you might be able to tell when somebody's struggling with something, and then you can step in. But because sometimes you might be kind of scared to ask for help, and so if you can see that they're struggling, then just ask in a nice way, not like don't just like be like I'm going to help you now, you know.
He gets that door for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I learned my lesson just a little bit with different kind of situation. When I was going to graduate school, my southern roots, I offered to open the door for one of my family teachers. And she got all over me about opening that door. Man.
That's nice.
I opened no more doors for you. She goes, thank you. I never opened no more doors.
That's nice.
That was seen as being too masculine.
Speaking of opening doors, that reminds me of something that's very interesting to see. So, sometimes I'll be out with friends who can't see at all or not as well, and so they'll somebody will hold a door open for them, but they won't know, and so there'll be other doors, and so they'll just go open another door, go through another door. Like, so if you're gonna hold a door open for somebody who can't see, you might want to say something. Like, the door's open, because they're just gonna keep going, like they're doing. Yep.
Well, good job. I enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Who wants to get next? Down to Chris. Is everybody down to Chris? I'll tell you what I'll do, Chris. Right before I'm gonna run down and get my test. We're just gonna do our test review.
All right, cool.